Greetings, this is Stacy Patrice here today with, are we at day 7 already? Oh my goodness. Day 7 of the Countdown to Clarity vlog series. And I just want to sneak in right here, right quick. I just came from an audition and I have 2 of my yoga clients on their way, but I had an idea on my way home and I was like, I really just have to sneak this idea in real quick. And the idea is about something I call flipping illusions. And flipping illusions is just basically discerning what part of reality it works for us and what part of illusions work for us. And, maybe my understanding of this is a little extreme because I am a Pisces, which means 2 fish swimming in opposite directions tied with a string between the two, which means that I have to operate in both worlds all the time. Not only do I have to operate in both worlds, I have a predisposition to operate in both worlds all the time. So flipping illusion. So let's talk about this really quickly. So illusion is something that we look at. And from my understanding, is something that is the way that things appear. Whether it's true, not true, whether it's perception, opinion, ignorance, it's the way that things appear. And it's going to be different based on whose lens we're looking through. On the opposite side, we have reality. And with reality, there's not so much of a breakdown in terms of, perception. Reality is what it is, but it's still what it is based on some type of fact or some type of concrete evidence, which even in its own right could be an illusion or could be someone's illusion that determined it as it being so. So, thinking about acting. Acting is all about portraying illusions. It's about being who you are, but allowing the illusion of who someone else is through words on a page, through a script, through a concept, an idea, to become a part of you as you work through how you would be this particular type of person, right? So there's some reality in there and there's some illusion. Let's take it a step further. In life, the way that you appear to other people, some of it may be reality, some of it may be an illusion. I tend to think that we like to hang with people who see us the way we see ourselves or the way that we might like to be seen. And even if that is not actually true, it is our way of enforcing this illusion. So if people see me as very, powerful and regal and wonderful and amazing and intelligent, not only are those the type of people I would probably want to have around to satisfy the part of my ego that thinks that, but then those are also the type of people that reflect back to me who I am, or can even be the type of people who require me to be that person because they need that person around. Is that making sense? So illusion and reality. So how do we flip the illusion to inform reality? How do we take what looks like something or, what is something and say, I'm going to take that illusion from myself and bring it to reality? And to me, that's nothing but manifestation. That is just saying, I see myself as wealthy, as rich. I am this, I am that. You take all of your I ams, you make them truth up here first, and then they start to direct your actions and they start to direct your, the way you move in life and how you move from one thing to the next. And for me, that makes the most sense. Take your own illusions of yourself, what it is that you would like to see happen. Take that illusion. Because right now, if it's not fact, or if you don't feel it's fact, it's an illusion. Take that illusion of yourself and make it fact. And the one way to make that illusion fact is to say, I'm going to become this person, or I am becoming this person. Or some people would just go cut all that and say, I am this person, period. Some people see that as a lie. Other people see that as you creating. Some other people see that as you're actually delusional. Like the fact that you think that's you is a delusion. So, the only other way I can put this is that we have to flip illusions all the time in our day-to-day lives. We wear a lot of different hats, right? So my hat may be mother, sister, friend, at any point in time, girlfriend or wife, organizational head, entrepreneur, creative director, photographer, instructor, artist, world traveler. I'm gonna try that on. World traveler, speaker, presenter. There's a ton of things you can think of. But the idea is that for all these hats that you put on, every time you put on a new hat, Sometimes you take one off in order to wear one. And sometimes we wear a couple stacked on top of each other, right? But the idea is to have these different hats, wear these different hats, feel the responsibility and the energy that comes with these hats, try them on time for time, situation for situation, character for character, and see what being that person feels like. How does it feel to be a mother while in the presence of your child? Of course, when your child is at school, it's not that you're not a mother, but you may take off that predominant hat in order to put on, and right now I'm in my entrepreneurial mode. Right now I'm in creative director for whatever's next. Okay, so these are the different roles that we play. And when you take something that's an illusion, meaning an idea, meaning something you've created, meaning a persona, could be a facade, some people call it, a brand, how to effectively market yourself, how to present yourself. These are all illusions. None of these are who we are. And then this brings me to the multi-million-dollar question that I always love every time someone asks this. It's like, who are you? Who are you? That person that, not what do you do, but who are you? And so we have to understand that this is going to be a different type of answer. And I encourage everybody that's watching to just try that on for a minute and just say, who am I? And see how long it takes you to figure that out. Some of you may not have the answer today. It's not because you're lost or you don't get it. It's because who am I is a very powerful question. And at the same time, it requires a lot of observation and subtlety and getting in touch with your core. You can't really figure out who you are if the only definitions you can pull from are what other people would label you, or if the other definitions you pull from are things that other people can only identify with. You don't actually pull from the original space that exists inside of you that each of us are. So I encourage you. I encourage you and challenge you to try that on today. Who am I? And some people even have a practice of asking themselves this question every day. I know I was a part of this great group called Marketplace. Shout out Kevin A. Johnson, Marketplace community. And that was the opening question every time we got together and had a meeting. And it was, truly a different question every week that we answered it for each person. Often you'll find there's certain things that stick with you and you say, that really is who I am. But I would hear other people answer it and go, oh yeah, that too, and you just find these different ways to categorize what it is that needs to be categorized. And again, I said I'm sneaking in. I'm not trying to take up a lot of time. But how do you flip that illusion? Let's go to reality, since we haven't really fully touched on reality. So in reality, you have things that are actually happening, right? On paper, this is what's happening, right? So when I say on paper, I say, for instance, I live in a place where I have to pay a certain amount of money to live there every month. And, that's just, there are certain expenses that come with that. There are certain expenses that come with the lifestyle that I choose to live. And some people would say, well, you don't need any of that stuff. And he said, that's an illusion. It's Chicago out here. It's snowing. I need somewhere to stay. I need somewhere to be. I need food to put into my body. But have any of you ever tried a social experiment to find out exactly how many days you can go without purchasing food, without pulling your wallet out of your pocket? Have any of you ever done that? Have you ever really tested that theory to see if your reality is as hard as you've created it in your head? Is it really true that you have to have X amount of dollars just to live off of? Is it really true that, you can't do the job you want to do because there's something holding you back from it? Is it really true that you have some type of character flaw as to why you can't be with the type of person you want to be with? Is it really true that in this moment your life sucks, or there's nothing worth living for, or I have the world in my hands? Is any of that really true? Whether you say it has a negative pull or a positive pull, how much of that do you know is true? And some people say, well, I don't know it's true, but it's true for me right now. And that's what I mean by flipping illusions. Whatever is true for you right now is what you're going to consider to be truth. Even if someone tells you, you don't have to do that. Even if someone says, I didn't do that. You say, well, that's your life. This is my life. You don't have to do what I got to. So where do you break in, like this experienced thief? Where can you break into your thoughts and say, where can I flip some illusions? Where can I turn some things around that I've told myself, that I've repeated the pattern of telling myself, this is how it has to be? Where can I flip some illusions and say, if I start today and I put my I am out there, where am I in terms of, what can happen? So I just ask you to try that on and see what that does for you today. This is a short lesson today. Like I said, I'm sneaking in and trying to get this in before my day goes on. But I drastically encourage you to live this way, to feel what that feels like, to flip your own illusions. How do you flip your own illusions and say, whatever I thought was important, is it still relevant at this point in my life to hold on to that idea of what that thing is and what it does for me? And does it change my perception or my quality of life? And if it does, do I keep it? Do I throw it away? Do I do a social experiment and find out if this is really true? There have been times when I remember my bank account was super low. And I'm talking about super low. I'm not even talking about negative, just so low that you can't take it out your account. It's just that dang on low. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know where my next check is coming from because, I'm doing all these artistic things. I have a couple invoices out there, but I guess I got to, hurry up and get on my hustle and make some things happen. And that was one answer. But then I also had these illusions in my head of what type of work I do and what type of work I don't do. So then when it came time to hustle up and try and make this money, my question was, do you really have to? And I promise you, and I'm not going to say when this happened because I wasn't thinking about it. I went for 9.5 days without having to spend a dime on food. I'm not joking. And I was eating good every day. And I did not have a boyfriend that was feeding me every day or anything like that. I'm totally speaking of the universe was like, we got you right now. And people be like, hey, you want to go for something to eat? Hey, girl, I haven't seen you in so long. Let's go get some food. And every time I kind of grimaced like, am I going to have to pay for this? Am I going to have to send out a disclaimer and say, hey, I know you said let's go for some food, but I really don't have the money for food. And there were only a few times I had to do that I had to say something because I felt compelled in the beginning to say, I don't have it. And they were like, oh, girl, it's my treat. And I'm like, wow. Or, someone would come by and say, well, I just went to the store and bought this and bought that. And, I looked back in my cabinet at the same food that was there before and the same food that was not or was in my refrigerator before. And I saw something different. And, this is what happens sometimes is that, we just start flipping those illusions like, man, time to flip it. Flip the script. Tell yourself what you need to hear, not what you don't need to hear. Tell yourself what empowers you and pushes you forward, not what, keeps you held back. Put yourself in a position to be able to dominate, not to be able to shrink. Don't tell yourself how tired you are, how you're not able to do something. Tell yourself that you're ready and it's your time. And speaking of time, gotta go. There's my client. Thank you so much for listening. Leave a comment below. Let me know about some illusions you flipped, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Namaste.